Today we're going to talk about some of my habits, 9 in particular that I think are contrarian, that make my life work, my career work, my job work, everything around me work. And I actually started jotting these things down in December of 2023. If you're here with me live, it's August 2024. This talk has been sitting in my content book, which is where I put some of my notes for shows and ideas and things like that, things that you share with me. But I wanted to share it with you today because we've got a lot of skill building stuff going on, and I've been helping people through my Zebra Code book release that just came out a few weeks ago. We've been talking a lot about building the right habits, productivity, building the right skills. That's what the Zebra Code book is all about, navigating your way through the maze of professional development. So I want to give you 9 tips. Like I always say, take what you like, leave the rest. I'm going to start out with number 1, which is something I've been talking about for months with the impending release of the Zebra Code, is we all have work that we do. Hopefully it's work that you enjoy. We have assignments, we have deliverables, we have meetings with people. I write content for you every week. I write emails for you every week. I distribute social media for you every week. I build training programs. I have webinars. I have this live show on Thursday. My recorded release is on Tuesday every week. But it might surprise you to know that in this book right here, which is my planner, that actually I put in everything that I do week in and week out. It's got all my appointments. It's got all my inventory of things that I'm going to be doing this week, this month. But before I plan my entire week, and anybody who goes to the Andy Productivity Training class knows this, I plan my skill building before I plan anything else. This is not selfish. Think about your paycheck. When you get your paycheck, if you want to save or invest that money, the best way to do that is to pay yourself first. Take some money out of your check, put it into your savings account or your investment accounts, leave it there and let it grow. You can use it later. But what do most people do? They take their check, they spend, and I'm not talking about buying groceries because you got to eat or pay the rent because we want you to do those things. Those are non-negotiables because we like the roof over your head, right? We want you and the kids to be warm. But if you want to build and you want your money to compound for you, it's good to take it first and then invest it, instead of what a lot of people do is they take their paycheck, they pay their bills, and then they go and they spend the money or maybe blow it on nonsense and then they try to save what's left over. That's what most of us do with our career. So I want to talk with you about how I do this. And I want to talk to you about it in a micro and a macro level because we don't always have the same scenarios in our lives. Some of you might be looking for jobs. I, at 2 points in my life, completely changed careers, which meant I had to do investments of a different kind. But right now, I operate the Mile Walk Academy. I run a business. I do a number of things every single week. Every single week, I do similar activities. I write you a newsletter. I do the show, as I mentioned. I have coaching sessions, about 10 a week. Some of those sessions that I'm going to be doing next week, I already know who's on Monday and what's on Tuesday and what's on Wednesday, and I have appointments. So I have things like that I know I've already pre-planned, and they're in an electronic calendar. But every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it's basically when one week is ending and the other week is about to start, the first thing that I do is I take all of the appointments that I know I'm going to have, like coaching sessions. So if somebody's in a 3 o'clock slot on Monday, I write down in the booklet 3 o'clock on Monday. I know I'm going to meet with Susie, and Tommy's at 4:15, and somebody else is at 5:30 or whatever it might be. I get all that in there. I know I'm going to show up here on Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time. That goes in the booklet. Lots of times on Friday, I have group coaching. That goes in the booklet. Then what I do before I plan anything else is I look to see what skills do I need to be working on next week, and where on my calendar I got 168 hours to work with. Is that going to go, right? It's not the 40 from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. I get the whole calendar. I plan everything, all 7 days. So within those 168, where is my skill building time going to go? I know, as an example, for next week, There's a couple things I need to work on skill building wise on Monday because I got to do something on Tuesday. I want to use those skills. I've got another slot where I'm going to watch what I know is a 75-minute training session from one of my coaches. I know I'm going to do that. I need to figure out where that goes on the calendar, but I know I want to do that next week because there's some things he was teaching that I want to learn because I'm going to apply them in September. Something like that. So I always pay myself first. Now, that's the micro level. That's kind of the day in and day out. But I want you to think about, I went through a massive change in 2015. And I'm going to give you an analogy from my life, but you could think about this for your life. Some of you I know are job searching, right? A lot of people that come to my Thursday shows are looking for a new job. And so you might be in transition. You might be thinking like, well, dear Coach Andy, I got to work on my job search. Awesome. But if you're going to go through an experience, I want you to gain the benefits of the experience. And I want you to take advantage of this unique situation because it's not going to be perpetual, although I know some of you think it's going to be, but it won't be. It'll be over before you know it. And I want you to make sure that you're taking advantage of every minute that you are awake. And so in 2015, I was full capacity operating my executive search firm, MileWalk Inc. It's a business-to-business executive search firm. We would find people for job assignments that our clients engaged us. But in 2015, in July, I knew that I wanted to build or an arm or augment the MileWalk Inc. organization to add the MileWalk Academy to offer business to consumer services to individuals to help coach them in their job searches and in their career development. Except I was going to have to do this basically outside of my normal work hours. I was going to have to start building aspects of the business. And one of the things that I did was I started to shoot videos, I implemented a podcast, other things to augment my ability to not only provide the MileWalk services, but also let the world know that I was going to be offering these additional services in the way of helping individuals. But I spent an entire year working on building a platform that helped me engage a community. So there were all of these other skills I needed to build. And what I did was I had to figure out outside of my normal work hours, before work, lunch, after work, weekends, or whenever it was, so that I could start doing things like learning how to communicate through the lens, through the camera. What was that going to take? This requires certain levels of skills to be able to do things and teach things and concentrate and all these other things. So I would be practicing. But I knew I had to plan that time. Otherwise, I was never going to be able to build the business. So in this case, a lot of the time I was investing was in practicing of building a new business where I actually was building a new business, but I was also building the skills, and I had to plan that on a macro level because if I wasn't able to do that, my new venture was not going to be able to take off. That was investment in myself. Some of you are going through job searches right now. Is this not an awesome time to be working on what? Your networking skills, your communication skills, your email copywriting skills, AKA cover letters, which are really nothing more than emails that you're sending to people, and all of these other things that you might not use a ton of. But everybody could be better at networking. It's going to help your career. Everybody could be better at writing and communicating and storytelling and all of these other skills that you could be building right now. So, are you actually thinking of whatever it is you're doing, whether you're working full-time and you're trying to reach that promotion, or you have a goal, or you're job searching, or whatever your situation might be? Pay you first. That's number one. Okay. Number two and three, I believe 2 and 3, we're going to talk about problems. 2 and 3 are going to talk about problems. So first thing is, what's the first thing most people do when they encounter a problem? Just go in the chat, let me know so I can grab another swing of coffee and shoot the coffee in my veins. What's the first thing that people do? And while I know we're on a delay, and Kara, say hello to me in the Slack so I know we're all in the right channel and you and I are on the right frequency. What's the first thing people do when they encounter a problem? What's the natural thing to do? Work on it or ignore it. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Assess, complain. Oh my God, the best laid plans. That's funny. Thank you for the chuckle. But what's the first thing they do? Right? They try to solve it, don't they? Something broke. Let's fix it. Worry or get stressed. Okay, wait, these are all good. These are all good. Push it down the road. Some people do that. Catastrophize. Go procrastinate. Start worrying. Solve it. Gus, that's what I mean. They try to solve it. I don't try to solve my problems. Not unless they were problems I introduced on purpose because they were a challenge. But in that case, I'm not even classifying them as a problem. I'm really talking about things that break. When something breaks or when something doesn't go, something that we're doing over again, meaning a second time, that doesn't go as well as we thought it would, right? I could run a workshop and it didn't go over as well as the previous workshop. That's a problem. What went wrong? That's what I'm talking about. I never try to solve the problem first. I always don't try to solve the problem. I go backwards first. Usually, not always, but usually, let's call it over 90% of the time, when something doesn't perform at the level we thought it should for something we had experienced doing or something broke, it is usually a function of you got away from your routines. You got away from doing things mechanically the way you usually do them, or maybe you are degrading and getting fast and loose. Who's guilty? Show of hands. Do you know what I'm saying? When somebody is going in a funk, in an extreme funk, heaven forbid you have an addiction of some kind, you don't tell somebody to just quit, right? That's not how it's going to work for them. You need to bring them back to what was it like when you were sober. Forgive the analogy, but go with the analogy, right? Let's go back to when life was working. What were you doing that you got away from? So basically, check to make sure everything is in order. Did we go through the mechanics? Did we follow all the steps? Did we skip any steps? Did we half-bake any steps that we really shouldn't have? And I will tell you that much of your problem's solution will be found here. I'm not talking about I'm trying something new for the very first time. No, you're trying something new for the very first time. That's a new challenge. You're trying to attain a new level. That's not a problem, my friend. That's you growing. I'm talking about when stuff breaks, okay? When was life actually working? What was I doing? When was I happiest? All those of you in my job search coaching program that have access to the job search bootcamp program, what do I tell you to do in the first stage? Build your requirements. What's one of the little hints I give you to do that? What is it that I want? What's the figurative environment that I thrive in? When were you happiest? Start writing that down. What were the character traits, the environment traits of why you were happy? You're so miserable now, it's easy to point to what you don't like. But can we go back to when you were happy and can we replicate that? That's what I'm talking about here, folks. This applies to job searching too. That's problem item number 1. So that's number 2. And then this one. Life doesn't have problems. You do. You do. So all the worriers, all the catastrophizers, all that stuff. So how do we get out of this? Well, I want to draw your attention to something that I notice from all the people that I coach, the people that I've recruited, the people that I coach, the people in my group coaching, the people that are in my one-on-one coaching. And I want to give you some numbers here. I coach about 500 people a year in, year out. That's 10 a week. I see these people. I can tell you the most successful people in the world, the ones that are able to ignore all this noise, have 3 things in common. They have a framework upon which they approach life. And this is my way of saying they have an approach. They have a strategy. They have a playbook. They know what the steps are that they're going to take. Or at least they make a list, they try it out, and then they approach it. And if they need to make adjustments, that's fine. And you know why they can make those adjustments? Because of the second thing. That's framing. Don't worry, I actually didn't misspell that, but I was trying to stay with the frame with the frame theme here, but framing. Framing is the way you tell a story to somebody so that you tell it in a manner so that they can see what it is that you want them to see. Framing works for yourself as well. It's the story you tell yourself about what's going to happen. I tell myself, no matter what goal I take on, as long as I plan it and work it, I will be successful. If you give yourself enough time, you'll be successful. There is no way I won't, because when I look back in my life, I've always been successful. It's not been linear, like slope of one, but I've been able to accomplish everything that I've wanted to as long as I've given myself enough time and stuck with it. Well, I constantly feed myself the story that I will succeed. Everything will be fine. I have faith it will work out. It doesn't matter how many people come to the show. Whoever needs to come to the show and hear what I need to say on that day or watch the recording will find it. I'm not going to agonize over search engine optimization or what my YouTube thumbnails look like. Okay, so it's the story you tell yourself. And then the third thing is this is what gets you in the planning and in motion. This is what keeps you moving along the way and having faith that you're going to be able to figure it out. And this frame of mind is your state at any moment in time of how you look at what you're doing at any moment in time right now. There's absolutely nothing I can be doing but teaching you. And the benefit of this talk doesn't even occur at this moment. Right? All that's happening now are sounds are coming out of my mouth. You're taking it in, and then you're going to go do something with it, or you'll pass it along to somebody else who'll do something with it. All the benefit happens after. I have faith. My frame of mind says, and my attitude says that this will work out the exact way it should, because it always does. And so I know that whatever I'm doing at any moment in time has value. It might not have value at the moment. In fact, it rarely does. What do I tell you about when you're doing something? You focus on the shout. When you look for the value, you focus on the echo, because the value is always in the ripple. So everybody who encounters any kind of problems, if they have these three things in order, they're able to overcome anything. This is how I approach any problem I encounter. Okay, so it's really, really important. And I've told you this only about a bajillion times. Your success in life will have a lot more to do with where you place your attention than your ability. If you make sure that you're focusing on the right stuff, everything will work out. Okay, let's talk about 4, 5, and 6 coming up here. This is going to be about feedback. And I have a question for you. I would love for you in the chat, for you to let me know right now. Here's my question. How have I positively influenced your life? Try to do it in a couple words or 3 words. Make it as short as you'd like. Give me a word or 2 or 3 on how I've influenced or helped you in your life. Let me know. Michelle Lee, I love it. Frameworks. David, focused planning, attention, action. Feed the funnel. Hang on, let's pull these up. I love it. Wait, and I love that you guys have your pictures. That helps me remember you. All right, wait. Andy, frame of mind equal focus. Maybe that was from before. David, focus, planning, attention, and action. I love it. Michelle Lee, what's happening? Frameworks. Baby girl, feed the funnel. A job search. Got me thinking and focused. Anar. Oh, now you're coming in. Okay. Anar, where were you? I found my last job because of you. Awesome. Interview intervention and storytelling. Tom Phillips. Belit, redirection. TJ, new job hunting techniques. Getting priorities aligned. Frank, I love that. Deb, you know I love you. Always positive encouragement. Christine, confidence. Broke through the mental blocks. Tracy. All right, wait. By the way, I am going to pour through these when I get to watch the replay. But let me give you this point. And I know this is probably going to, I think this is going to raise some eyebrows. I only ask for positive feedback. I only ask for positive feedback. What do a lot of companies ingrain in you? You want feedback for stuff you stink at, right? How can I get better? How can I get better? What am I not doing well? What are 3 areas that I need to improve on? And why do I only ask for positive feedback? Not because I'm narcissistic, because, and I know some of you found me 10 minutes ago, 22 minutes ago, and some of you have been following me for 22 months, and some of you have been following me a lot longer than that. And any of you that actually know me, I can look you straight in the baby blues with a straight face and say, You probably know, because I've shared with you my evaluation techniques, I am brutal on myself. I am a huge, huge critic of myself. I go through great lengths to watch myself, critique myself, look at my products, improve my products. I am insane about getting better. I am. So how can it be that only asking for positive feedback and not asking your customers, what can I do to improve? Why would that be an effective way to go through life? I'm going to give you 2 reasons. Number one, many of you, if not all of you, most of your life are going to be more successful on the things you do well. Double down, triple down, quintuple down, lay the pedal down. Just keep doing that. And that's what'll make you great. That's one thing, but that's not the only thing. Because if you never look to improve the things that actually matter, so improvements that you actually need to make, and don't get better at them, you're never going to reach the stratosphere you want. So how do I actually get better? I get better a couple ways. So the feedback that I'm looking for is not from somebody else, but it's from the evaluation of what I do. So I'll watch this show over when we're done. Not today, I go right into a bunch of coaching calls, so my day is totally stacked. But tomorrow night or over the weekend or early next week, I will watch the show multiple times. I will look at whether I delivered the messages properly. Did I say everything as fast as I could? Did I use the right analogies? Was I engaged with the chat? Was it emotional for them so that it registered, so that it inspired them? Was I empathetic? I look at all of these things. There's a whole damn checklist of stuff I got to evaluate, and it takes me multiple iterations to do that. Okay, well, Andy, what about sending out surveys to your customers to see what they want you to do to improve? We used to do that. We tried that. The problem with that is people tell you what they want, but their behavior doesn't match. So I need something to be the highest point of priority. So what do? We obsess over the numbers. Who opened the email? Did that message resonate? Did they like that? Are they telling us they like that? Is there bugs? Are they going to tell us that they need them fixed? We look at all that, but I'm watching data. I'm watching what you do, not what you say. Because a lot of times when you're soliciting feedback from people, they're not giving it to you straight, so that neuters it. But more importantly, just because they think it doesn't mean it's the most important thing for me to be doing. And I'm a business owner, so I need to look in aggregate there's over 100,000 customers in the Mile Walk Academy. Those are people who pay for stuff. So I have to look at this in aggregate. And if I start running surveys, it's the squeaky wheels who tend to fill them out. It's really true, because the people that are happy are just happy and living their own lives. So you have to watch and balance all this. Who's following what I'm saying here? Right? I know you get evaluations at work. Are they helping? Are you actually getting the construct or the constructive feedback that you need? And then if you're getting it, are you actually getting the instruction to improve? Is somebody taking care of that with you? Not for you, because you're not going to outsource your career. So this is how I improve. I want to know what I'm doing well, and then I evaluate everything to adjust what I'm not doing well. Okay, so that might surprise you. And then number 5, along the same lines. By the way, I wrote this card because I didn't want to say something like, don't listen to people who have not attained the goals that you want to attain, right? And I don't like using the words better than you, because everybody has their own measure of success. But whatever advice you get, I need you to run it through a filter, your filter, of what truly are they saying? Why are they saying it? Why do they think it? Because then you can calibrate what of that advice you want to channel into what it is you want to do about it. So this is really important. I don't take a lot of advice. Again, I rely on number one, if you're not going to take advice, you got to be super, super comfortable with making a ton of mistakes, which I am, meaning I make a lot of mistakes and I'm comfortable with it, because failure is the first step to success. So I could have taken advice from somebody who might have helped me sidestep a landmine. You know what? I needed to learn it. I won't forget it. I learned it on my own, and now I'm better for it. So I don't spend a lot of time taking a lot of advice. I just take the lumps and then fix stuff. You could get a counselor, a mentor, a coach like me. I can save you a lot of landmines and sidestep that and streamline your job search. But I'm not talking about, Andy, how can I improve my job? I'm talking about like advice, like you forever advice. Okay, I give you situational advice. So make sure you understand the difference here. All right, so that's number 5. And then number 6, I think this is contrarian because I don't think people do it. Again, I praise myself daily. Okay, this is not, please take this in the right context. What do most people do? They beat the crap out of themselves, right? They yell at themselves. They scream at themselves. They talk to themselves like they would never talk to a friend. They beat themselves up. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And what's one step better than not doing that? Going the other way. I had a session, what day was it last week? This one stood out on me. I love this. I love this woman. She's in Singapore. So I was like super early my day, like after dinner time, her day. And we were talking, and she has a great job, and I was coaching her. Maybe she's watching this on a replay because she's got to be sleeping. Nats, this goes out to you. So she wanted my counsel and my advice on, she was stepping into a chief level position, and she has a good job, but this is an opportunity to take a step up. And I think she was a little worried whether she had the experience to do this. So she wanted my help in what this would take, how I would go about it, how I would plan the job, meaning how would I reorganize, like plan the job, the responsibilities, and then reorganize the team, and then the recruitment plan to hire the team. This was our session. So, I could see her like in the things I was saying, it was like boom, 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 boom. And I can see her like just the smile in her face, like, oh God, I needed to know that. No, I wouldn't have done that. Okay, that's really great. That's really gold. And she's writing and writing and writing, and I'm loving this. And I reminded her a few times that, hey, we're recording this, so don't worry about it. And we're transcribing it and all that. But when I got done, I took some notes on her packet, and like, that was a good freaking session. Good job. That was kind of what I said to myself, because I want to reinforce that it matters. What I do matters. And so you need to remind yourself, because a lot of times people aren't going to remind. I know that if you're here with me, you like the counsel. Well, most of you anyway. And you're going to go off and you're going to do something good with it. I have faith that is happening. Even if you don't email me back and say, Andy, this changed my life. Andy, I got the new job. Andy, I got the $50,000 pay raise, or the $5,000 pay raise, or just a better job, or whatever. I know it's happening. And I got to remind myself that it's happening because of the good things that I'm doing each day. I never beat myself up. I don't. I really don't. All right. Are you liking this so far? If you are, would you give me a little love on the little YouTube like thing? I'm not above asking. Okay, 7, 8, and 9. This goes out to any of you that sell stuff, market stuff, are business owners, or are getting performance reviews when they say you need to improve. Never defend. Never defend yourself. Never defend. I'll say it again. Don't be defensive. Ask. Ask. You know why asking works? I'll give you a little example. So somebody says, well, geez, Andy, your job search coaching program is a lot of money. It's $1,000 or whatever we charge these days. That's just too expensive. And what would most people do? Well, yeah, but it's got this, this, and this. And I spent hundreds of thousands of hours putting all that together for you, and I'm going to save you time. And that's what a lot of people do. And that's defending. Instead of, when you're engaging with someone, that's your first reaction normally because you want to explain because you don't think they understand. When the fact of the matter is that when somebody asks me, well, it's $1,000 and it's expensive, that statement in and of itself is true. It is, because it's going to cost them $1,000 at moment zero in time, and they're not going to have any results at all. So it's a cost, but it's an investment. So a better way to go through life is to work with the person, whoever this is, ask them the questions to let them figure it out on their own, and feel as though you're collaborating with them to help them draw a conclusion that hopefully, right, benefits them. So if somebody says, well, geez, Andy, that's a lot of money. I hope you drop it when inflation goes down, as if the $1,000 is because of inflation and not the value. So my immediate reaction wouldn't be to defend the product and show you all the results, although I will refer you there. It sounds like you're comparing this to something. What would you be comparing it to? Well, this other coach over here, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's another way we can look at this? How much money do you earn? What are you making in a week that you're not making because you're out of a job? Would it be worth it to you that's a question, to find your job faster, to have some help from somebody who knows what they're doing, right? And so as you walk them through the process in the line of questioning, you're getting them to better understand the scenario. And then in my mind, what I keep saying to myself is, what information do they need to make a great decision? This works when you're given a status report to your boss, you're pitching to the board, or whatever. If you're trying to defend your recommendation, why would I do that? What matters to you? Do you want happy customers? Do you want to open up new markets? Do you want, okay, well, what would that be worth to you? Okay, well, here's what it takes, is a much better and much more effective way to go. So defense is the last thing I would ever think of to do. But this is what most people do. This is what most people do. Okay, to protect myself, my life, everything that I do, and most importantly, my stress level, and my wife will attest to this, and not in a bad way, I say no to everything first. Everything that comes at me is an automatic no. Automatically. It has to work its way into a yes. Why? Well, number one, there's a lot of noise, and other people's problems are not my problems, and other people's bad planning is not my problem, and other people's fires are not my problem. Don't get me wrong. I want to help you. I'm talking about everything that comes at me, because to go from a no to a yes is cool. To go from a yes to a no is bad, right? To agree to something and then retract. And you will be more stressed out by the things you say yes to than the things you say no to. Everything from the innocuous or the fun, hey, Uncle Andy, will you watch the kids on Saturday night? Next Saturday, we want to go out for a date. Yeah, that sounds like fun. When Saturday rolls around, like, why'd I agree to that? I'm tired, right? I haven't had a rest all week. I'm like, so it could be anything. It's the same kind of thing with customers. It's the same kind of thing with crazy new projects. They have to work their way into a yes. But how many people are so strung out because you have so many obligations to go to places you don't even want to go? I assure you, if you have a dinner date with the LaCivitas, that's a big deal. Meaning we only go out with people we like. I'm not going out with people I'm not going out for obligatory purposes. I have rare few minutes of my personal time. I'm going to spend it with people I like. That's just an example. Same goes for my work. Every day, every week, I get requests to be on podcasts or whatever, or write this, or go do private webinars or whatever. 99% of them I say no to, because I have to protect what's most important. And then we'll work it into a yes. It's true. All right. Last one. This might be my favorite. It just worked out that it was last. I never mix, so there's no inertia in my life. And I'm going to tell you what I mean. So the other day I said something, I think it might have been at the book club, at the Zebra Code book club, which you all should be in, by the way, if you're not, because it's free to join. And I said to somebody, I think this was the book club, but this is a good example. So the reason I'm able to get so much done in any given hour is because I don't mix what I'm doing. So what might that be? Well, if I'm going to write an email, like I'm going to write you your Tuesday digest or your Thursday digest, or I'm going to write you an email about joining the Zebra Book Club or whatever it is, I don't think about what I want to say and then do it in the same sitting, ever. The thinking part is done. The doing part is done separately so that I have no inertia, because if I'm thinking and doing, I'm thinking, then doing, then rethinking, then redoing. And this is why you don't get the damn email written in 20 minutes. So everything that I do, every morning, I spend a couple of minutes to 20 minutes, not usually longer than 20, but no less than usually 5, brainstorming that myself, because we don't brainstorm in groups, I brainstorm by myself of ideas of different things I want to do for the business. I call it my excellence planning. There's 5 questions I ask myself. I've talked about this in other videos. That's not the point. The point is I come up with ideas. That's it. I don't work the idea. I don't figure out how. I don't want to worry about figuring out how. The goal is, how many damn ideas can I come up with in 10 minutes, 20 minutes related to these 5 areas? And I just brainstorm. Then when I want to work the solution, that gets done at another time. What really happens if it's a brainstorm idea, it has to go through a planning process. That's an activity. And a doing process. That's an activity. So I never mix the thinking and the doing, the brainstorming and the execution, the evaluation or whatever. And it's everything. So my books are over there. I have a journal that I journal in each morning. Sometimes 1 minute, sometimes 10 minutes, but every morning I journal. I got to write something down because I want to be grateful at a minimum. I don't care if I write the same thing 50 days in a row. I want to go to it because I want to write positive thoughts, and only positive thoughts go into this thick journal. And I just keep turning it every day and I keep writing. And then I have a worry book. The only negative thoughts go in the worry book. The reason only negative thoughts go in the worry book is because to condition yourself not to worry, if you write down what you're worrying about, make the note, today is whatever. I worried that the so-and-so wasn't going to come on time, whatever it is. Anything you worry about, anything that upsets you. And you write it down in the book. And then what's going to happen? One of 3 things is going to happen. It's not going to happen, meaning they were on time. It didn't even happen and you worried. Oh my God. All right. They were late, but it wasn't so bad. It's usually not. Or it could have even been worse than what you ever expected. But mark my words, if you actually create a worry book and start writing these things in whenever you have a worry, you will laugh at yourself at how infrequently those things actually come to fruition. So my journals are separated. I even have a separate journal to track habits of mine. And I got away from tracking them because I was so dialed in. And then with the onset of this book project and everything else that went along with the Zebra Code, things got so harried, I started to get away from the great routines. Pull myself back, going back to one of these early ones, right? Hey, what's the issue? Right? You got away from some things you do. All right? So these are 9 things that I do that I wanted to share with you. Just to recap them really quickly. Plan your skills first. Your skill building time. Pay yourself first. Don't try to solve the problem. If it actually something breaks, go back. Did I get away from anything that was working? Go back and figure out what was working, why it was working before. Don't try to solve it. Life doesn't have problems, you do. Have an approach, right? Have a good story that you tell yourself, and have the right frame of mind at any moment in time. Only ask for positive feedback. Make sure you don't take advice from anybody who isn't where you want to be. A lot of people give advice. It's usually because they're bitter. Praise yourself daily. Never defend. Ask first, especially if somebody is being critical of you. Say no to everything. First, you can work your way into a yes, and never mix. that creates inertia. Okay, if you're here with me live, we're going to the chat. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week.